What's up guys, it's Sunflower from 97 with my Repot and Read series where I talk about one of the herbs in my balcony garden, how I personally benefit from it, some potential medicinal uses and traditional uses as well, while repotting the plant and talking about how it grows. So today's herb is mugwort. I have western mugwort here that does grow wild here in Oregon, and I also have common mugwort too. It's getting really tall. And then the soils I'll be using is Happy Frog from Fox Farm, and then also Ocean Forest from Fox Farm. At the moment, I only use Fox Farm. They have a lot of good organic ingredients in them, and my plants love them. So, alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with common mugwort. Here. You'll see the leaves are very spiky, and they're kind of hiding as they go up. So I kind of have to like pull down and see it. And it's just growing currently from one stem. Now, in terms of personal use, I use mugwort honestly every month. I primarily use it through the start of my ovulation phase to the end or close to the end of my period. Now, before I get into that, I want to mention I am an herbalist. I am not a doctor, and anything I say or share should not be used to treat, cure, or diagnose any Western diagnosis. So please do go to your primary care physician or doctor to determine if these herbs are for you. But before you use them, but I also do encourage you to listen to your mind, body, and spirit when I do share this knowledge, especially if it does speak to you and anything I say. Alright, so I've pulled out mugwort here, and you can see the roots have taken over the soil, so it's pretty much been time to repot this plant. So I'm just massaging the roots now to try to break away tension that's grown in these roots. Try to promote more growth so that they can spread. Now, again, back to my personal use. I do use it in the ovulation stage, ovulation to my period. Again, as I mentioned, do your own research, but I do have a partner, and I do not believe in birth control. I used to be on it, and the effects are just crazy. So I find that this is my method that I feel safest in to use. I find that my uterus gets very, very tight when I use mugwort. And you could come to your own conclusion for that, but it's as if it's blocking. It's blocking. So I hope you could get my interpretation on that. I wanted to clarify here, do not use this herb if you're pregnant or trying to get pregnant. Do not. Again, it is not a good combo. Now back to the video. I also tend on the side to have digestion issues. Always have. Certain foods I am very sensitive to, and mugwort is a very mild digestive, so if you have some digestion issues that aren't too intense, utilizing mugwort could be beneficial. Now, the reason why mugwort isn't gravitated to so easily is because it is psychedelic. So it is used in dreamwork. I've never personally used it for dreamwork or lucid dreaming, but that's primarily because I've always had intense dreams. I haven't need anything to stimulate my dreams. They've always been vivid, always. And as soon as I wake up, I can recall my dreams and what I dreamed about. Not everything, but a good portion. Like general idea of story behind my dreams. So I don't run to mugwort for that reason. And I personally don't find that it enhances my dreams because they're always vivid. But it is traditionally known for dream work. And since it has that effect, if you do have digestive issues or uterine issues, it's not the first herb that people run to. And if you're working as a herbalist, you should tell your client what the potential cons are for using mugwort. It could interfere with current things that they're taking or their mental state, you know, as soon as they wake up, etc. Another example of a herb like that would be blue lotus. Like, you wouldn't want to just take blue lotus. You have to be careful with these types of herbs. But again, I use it all the time. I also use it in a smoke blends or in my smoke blends. And you could use it with or without other substances, but if you just use it by yourself, to me it kind of creates this sense of awareness, but also a little bit spacey as well, like a kind of like a little bit of a body sensation. So I do enjoy smoking mugwort, and if you're trying to, you know, relieve yourself, or let's say if you have a addiction to smoking a certain substance that you don't want to anymore, mugwort could be a good one to transition into. But again, you have to be very take it slow. If you're starting off with mugwort, you know, do it in very small dosages and see if it works for you. Don't just consume high doses of mugwort. Mugwort is always in my pantry, and you see I have 2 different types just to see the difference. Right. That is common mugwort. I did separate the roots a little bit just to try to encourage like more stems to grow, because it's currently only growing through 1 stem and I would like it to create more. That'd be great. The common mugwort is done. This one I've had for a good amount of time, I would say maybe 2 to 3 months, and it's grown significantly. Like, it used to be super small and it was coming from 1 stem. And again, this one is Western mugwort, so it grows in the wilds here locally in Oregon. What else? Now, I did read, and I'll show the book at the end of this video, that mugwort could potentially be good for worms. That's not what I use it for. I feel like there's stronger herbs for that. But it does have a good effect on the digestive system. Woo. So it's very possible. What else? This is from my professional monographs and my resources. The parts that are used are the leaves, the roots, and the seeds. I primarily use the leaves personally. Now, in Asia, I read this, they are studying mugwort for anti-cancer effects. So it's kind of nice that I'm just consuming mugwort consistently, and it does have the potential to have those anti-cancer effects, but again, please do your own research. It's not something that I'm claiming with mugwort. Mugwort is also associated with the moon, and it's so beautiful, and it makes sense because it's a spiritual herb. I do keep my mugwort outside in the moon and on a full moon in the sun. And it does great. What else? It is very bitter. Very, very bitter. I love bitter tea. I love bitter tea and sweet tea. And there's a hypothesis with that, but I tend to have either really want something bitter or really want something sweet. So when I am in that bitter stage, I do go to mugwort. I go to coffee, because coffee is very bitter as well. I go to dark chocolate. And it creates kind of this nice, beautiful, dark brown tea. That to me is delightful. Now, in terms of its actions, and this is actions that you'll find when talking about Western herbalism. This one is very rooty, so I'm having a hard time. When we talk about its action, it's a tonic, antiseptic, psychedelic, and digestive. Oh, so you'll see it's very rooty. So I gotta really separate this up. Now, something that was interesting that I read about mugwort too is this presence in women, especially around the uterus. So I have quite a few roots here. This one is very, very big. So what I'm gonna do so it can kind of lengthen is kind of hold it at the root and then pour over it to kind of help with a lot more growth. I have 3 stems here. Okay. So I'm holding it while pouring soil on it. So I'm making sure that the roots are pretty spread out. So I'm just putting soil on one side, the side where this mugwort is. Okay. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to do these 2. I find that these, in terms of growth, really love the sun, and they love water consistently, but they do bounce back. So I remember one day it was super windy, and I do have a video on mugwort where I added the Max C fertilizer, and the leaves were super droopy. It was super upset, and I gave it the Max C fertilizer, which I do pretty often, but it stemmed back within a day, and then within 2 days it looked like itself again. So for me, I feel like it's a very easy plant to manage. Yeah, so I would encourage you to do your own research. Some ways I explained mugwort was for specific reason, just because it is controversial and there's a lot of different uses for it. And I personally don't make any claims with herbs. I just like to tell people how it's worked for me and how it's showed up in my life. And mugwort is a pretty big one. It's shown up in my life a lot, still does. I've worked with different herbs for different lifetimes. And in this lifetime, I am with a partner. I am working, building, and I need something to ensure that I stay stable and spiritual and overall happy and protected. Protected is a great word for mugwort. And yeah, that's what I get from this plant. I would encourage to also meditate with mugwort, especially because it is a psychedelic. So if you feel that you want to work with it, want to meditate on it, meditate with it, research it, come to your own conclusions, and then start with a very small dosage. I would encourage a tea personally. I've never used like a mugwort tincture. I try to avoid alcohol anyway, especially with specific herbs. Okay. Alright, so you see I separated all three of the roots, or the stems. We're forming, of course, into the roots. Let them have the capability to grow more. This one was also overdue for a repot, so it's perfect timing. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed what I talked about in my read and repot with mugwort. Again, I know I was very selective in the words that I used, but these are really just to, come to your own conclusions, come to your own research. And but again, it's such an amazing herb, but I'll also say that about all the herbs I grow. So yeah. In terms of what I'll be selling for this herb, I'll be selling the tea. And if it does flower, if I'm lucky enough to be blessed with the flowers, I'll make a mugwort oil, which will be pretty special. But primarily using the leaves to create a tea. I also might do a glycerin with mugwort. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, I'm done with the mugwort read and repot. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned to when my products come out at sunflowerfrom97.com.